I'm 23. In my opinion, I look like what a 23-year-old would look like.
I'm 25. I'm not even gonna pretend like I look like what a 25-year-old should look like.
Gen Z is aging like shit, and here's why. It's the stress, guys. You were too stressed growing up. It's the same reason presidents age exponentially faster when they're in office. Your environment was too stressful. It causes organisms to develop faster. When millennials were in school, when we were little kids, we were in peak society. Late 80s, the entirety of the 90s, early 2000s. That was the peak of Western society. And in this peak, very safe time to be a little kid. The greatest trauma of our childhoods was 9/11. And that was over there. That was a distant, far off thing, unless you were in New York City, in which case it was closer. But the war itself was over there. And then the financial crisis happened as we were all graduating. Like, we grew up in a very, very relaxed time. Gen Z didn't have that advantage. You guys grew up, 9/11 had already happened. Your country's already at permanent war. You then are going through a financial crisis, so your parents are stressed out. They're stressing over money, stressing over keeping the house. They then pass this stress onto you, and then you go to school where you might get shot. And instead of having a childhood where your body could relax and develop normally, you had an expressed puberty because you were going in a fight or flight state constantly when you should be relaxed. And that ages you. That ages you fast as fuck. You essentially are a bunch of rabbits. You are in a constant high anxiety state. And that makes an animal develop faster because it's telling the body it lives in a world where it's not likely to live particularly long, so it needs to grow up faster so it can reproduce faster, and then it can spread its genes. It is just how organisms respond to their environment.
Apparently, according to the internet, where everything's basically true, generations like mine, Gen Z, and all the other younger generations are aging rapidly. We're just aging, we're growing like crazy, and not in the good way. It's not like back in the day when you kind of, oh, look at, you look so old for your age. No, it's like you are dying soon, and it's not looking good. It's looking rough. Are we all just having receding hairlines? Are we all just losing hair? Hell, even the girls are losing their mustaches. So do you personally feel like it's just the current day and age, the rough economy, the shitty society, the declining population? Is this all just kind of getting over our heads, the rising in debt, the economy? I feel like it's just, well, I'm here today to vouch for my peers and maybe explain why this might be the case. Whether it's our parents, our bosses, the government lingering over our heads trying to tell us to be a good boy, be a good girl. We're going to talk about why people these days are experiencing trauma in their looks. So let's talk about it.
For the first time ever in American history, 30-year-olds are doing worse than their parents. This is a fact. This is statistics. This is scientifically proven. Do not let the boomers gaslight you and have you believing that we just waste our money, and that's why, because we order DoorDash and we get a Starbucks or we get avocado toast. That's not the issue. The issue is inflation eats our income faster than any other fucking people in American history. So you know how we're all struggling just to pay rent? That's not something they had to deal with 30 years ago. You know how we're all struggling to buy groceries? That's not something they had to deal with 30 years ago. And you know what gets on my nerves the most? The fact that nobody in government is making this a big deal. Like, how is affordability crisis not the number one thing? But instead, they're focused on trans people. None of that is the issue, but that's what they want us focused on. And it's just very frustrating, very frustrating.
The steady decline that's, in result to the appearance of the youth has a lot of different factors at play, whether that's just chronic stress, maybe even the unhealthy lifestyle of constantly eating shitty foods that is pretty much all you can afford is the McDonald's Monopoly app, free McMuffin or whatever the fuck, as well as a lot of people these days are vaping, they're drinking, they're doing any sort of substance to get by to their, daily activities because coping with the real world is just too hard for most, as well as a lot of people are kind of just going off to these, they don't really care about their looks. They can just, hop on a flight to Turkey, get a receding hairline transplant. Guys be doing that. Girls can get Botox here in the States. Just got to fly down south to Florida, California, whatever state has the best surgeon that Kim K had last week. And this is kind of just a new result of, fake it till you make it. We're not even trying to make it. We're just trying to fake it and show how fake we are. And as long as it looks good, who cares? Do you personally feel like this is just a further of the decline within society, where it's like everything is just so gone to shit that nobody really cares about the, you know, the repercussions of doing some of these things? I mean, we've all seen old ladies look like when they get old during their Botox. I mean, Kris Jenner, you know, Kim K's mom, just did that whole thing, and she looks, she just knocked off like 25 years off of her life. Well, she's still gonna die at the same time. She just looks younger. So this is really where a lot of the popular points go towards these days, is the look, not really the longevity of health, really how you're doing. When you really look at a lot of the people that generally are super healthy, they still look kind of old. They still got wrinkles, they're still balding, they still got a lot of this stuff going on. You still get diseases, but it's just a little bit of a different timeline.
You guys, I have so intentionally stayed out of the, like, do Gen Z look older, millennial look young debate, because, like, as a Gen Z, I know that millennials look young. They do. Like, it was probably the fact that they, like, I am an elder Gen Z, and so, like, I was there at the tail end. I saw the, like, you know, society's come a long way in terms of, like, destigmatizing aging, and skincare became really popular in the 2010s. Like, of course they took care of whatever. They look young. Millennials have had enough. Let's give it to them. They look young, okay? And so I've just, like, stayed out of it as Gen Z. But today, I'm in the grocery store and buying alcohol. It's self-checkout. The cashier comes over to me and she's like, "You're over 30. So humbled immediately. No, I'm not over 30. And I thought, like, I was, like, doing pretty good. I was like, I think I look roughly my age. I've done the filters. They get it right. I am not over 30. Do I look like I'm over 30? Maybe I don't want to know the answer to that. I'm 26. I feel like I look roughly 26. I don't know. Oh my gosh.
Now, there was this whole term, especially pushed on TikTok over the last couple of years, called looks maxing, where guys preferably will spend their entire life just trying to look the best they can to, you'd think it'd be to impress girls, really is to impress other guys online, which is kind of gay, but to each their own. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, that doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. I love you the same way, God bless. But it's kind of a contradiction when you really think about it, where it's like guys are spending all this time trying to look good, when in reality it kind of just makes you feel more insecure about yourself. You spend all your time, whenever you pass a mirror, you got to stop and fix your hair. Whenever you're, you know, smiling, you gotta kind of judge yourself with that little chip in your tooth that you had back when you were 7 and that you still can't afford to get fixed. There's all this shit going on in your head that's not really that drastic in terms of how it affects your life, but in our heads it kind of controls our whole world sometimes. So I feel like this whole social media effect with especially girls have it the worst, because, you know, the makeup, the filters, all the other popular influencers just pushing new products to try to make you look the best you can, when in reality definitely not needed. And other people know where it's coming from. They see you and they can see the change. Girls, I'm sorry to break to you, guys know that your eyelashes are fake. It's not a secret. And when you go home and when we wake up the next morning after our fun night in bed and you look like a totally different person, guys do have a weird mental game they have to go through. So put that into perspective. Despite how hot you feel like you look, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions down low in the comments regarding anything discussed in this video, whether the rapidly aging newer generations, the way that, you know, societal norms have changed and shifted over the course of the last few years, or any other topics you'd like to hear me cover here on the page. Try to be as consistent as I can over the course of the next few months, throughout the rest of the year, the fourth quarter. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content. So a huge shout out to the handful of you guys checking out these videos every day and showing up, as well as I want to give a lot of acknowledgement to the handful of you guys checking out those links down below in the description. Those are always some of the best ways to support me and the content around here. Now it's kind of like out today, so